Good morning, everyone, or I guess good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to our first co-op conversation of the 2025-26 season. My name is Natalie Callio, and I am the Professional Research Associate at the Canadian Centre for the Study of Co-operatives, and I am your host today. Before we begin, let's start in a good way. As we are gathered here in this space from across the country and perhaps around the world, I greet you from where I was born and where I'm from and where I sit today. Treaty 6 territory, land of the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Dene, the Dakota, the Lakota, and Nakota for millennia, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. I acknowledge the privilege of being able to work on this land and raise my son here, to share in its bounty, to reflect on its beauty while working in solidarity to protect what makes it beautiful, healthy, and hopefully sustainable. I reaffirm my commitment and that of our center to its stewardship to the importance of cooperation, honor, truth, and the shared and hard work of reconciliation. I am delighted to kick off our co-op conversation series this fall with Olivia Champagne's talk, introducing us to the platform Coops4Coops and how it is scaling intercooperation across Canada. First, a little bit about our speaker, Olivia. She is the strategy lead at Coops4Coops, as well as the general coordinator at Seize, a Montreal-based co-op incubator, advancing the solidarity economy through grassroots organizing, education, and shared infrastructure projects. She co-leads Coops4Coops alongside tech lead Malcolm McClintock, stewarding its development, outreach, and partnerships with cooperative associations across Canada. Olivia's work bridges cooperative governance, financial management, and sector-wide collaboration, with a focus on building resilient networks that center the cooperative values we hold so dear. Olivia is also a recipient of the 2025 Co-operatives Young Leader Award, recognizing her and 9 other phenomenal young leaders as the next generation of innovators in the cooperatives and mutual sector. We had the pleasure of meeting Olivia and her fellow young leaders at a cooperative governance training that was delivered by Marc-Andre and Dion from our center in collaboration with Kyle from Co-ops First. And that was at the it was the day before Congress started for the Co-ops and Mutuals Canada Congress in Regina, and we sat down with Olivia, we heard about the platform, and we knew that she would make a great speaker to kick off our co-op conversations for this year. So here we are, and with that, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all. And once I walk through the process, I will hand it over to Olivia to tell us all about this innovative initiative. So before we jump in, lots of you have been to co-op conversations before, but over the next 15 to 20 minutes, Olivia will tell us about the platform and its potential to address persistent challenges that plague the sector. Then we will have a short conversation followed by all of us breaking out into discussion groups around a question that Olivia is posing to you. And that will be about 10 to 15 minutes. Just a note on this, we always seem to lose a few people when we go to the breakout rooms, but before you dash off, just know that what we hear over and over in our evaluations is that people really value those opportunities to engage and network and talk co-ops with other cooperators. So I encourage you to stick around and discuss the topic at hand, meet new cooperators, even feel a little bit awkward, or engage and reconnect with people that you may not have seen in a while. If anyone is experiencing technical difficulties, you can message Dasha Guliak. Dasha, just message her in the chat and she will be able to assist. We are recording this session and the link will be shared with everyone who registered for this event a few weeks after. Now over to you, Olivia. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks for the kind introduction. I'll just begin sharing my screen. All right. So co-ops or co-ops, the reason I'm here to speak with you all today. Um, Firstly, a big thank you to the Canadian Centre for the Study of Co-ops for inviting me to speak, and also specifically to Stan and Natalie for supporting me along the way. So a little bit of framing for our conversation today is technology is moving at a pace that most co-ops simply can't keep up with. It's reshaping how every organization connects, communicates, and competes for attention. We live in effectively an attention economy, right? Every ad, app, and algorithm is designed to capture and monetize our focus, and co-ops just aren't able to compete with the global platforms whose business model itself is visibility, right? And without strong collective signals leveraging our co-op identities, co-ops are at risk of becoming invisibilized. So to get seen, online businesses spend thousands on ads, SEO optimization, paid partnerships, and they're constantly chasing the algorithm. So for co-ops, it's a losing game because it's a competition-based system, like by design. It drains energy away from our cooperative purpose. And smaller co-ops tend to get drowned out, and members face like decision information overload and decision fatigue. Right, so on top of that, the internet itself is changing faster than ever. So every few months, there's a new platform, TikToks, Threads, or whatever comes next, and each with its own rules and formats. And AI and machine learning are shaping the way we see the neutral internet. So the neutral internet being spaces which are your own websites and voices. That space of the neutral internet is shrinking. Right? So for co-ops, that means it's more costly and complex, and there's more pressure to play by rules that weren't designed for us, right? So instead of leaning into our cooperative advantage, cooperatives are then often pulled into competing like a private firm for clicks, visibility, and relevance. And this fragments our sector and our ability to practice P6. So the challenge is clear. How do we cut the noise and make it effortless for people to find and choose co-op suppliers to switch from competition to cooperation? So this is the digital reality of today's world. The tech ecosystem thrives on segmentation and monetization, and visibility is not about cooperation. It's about who can pay the most to dominate the feeds. So this competitive logic runs against the grain of cooperative values. And the real question is, in our landscape where visibility is sold to the highest bidder, right? How do we maintain the relevance of Principle 6, and how do we design systems that allow co-ops to find each other without being trapped into that competitive logic that dominates the rest of the internet? So we started with a deceptively simple question in November 2025. Is there a directory of co-ops that offer B2B services to other co-ops in Canada? It sounds like the answer should be clear, but in practice it was quite complicated. So at the provincial level, we see associations like BCCA or OCA do keep member directories, but these are siloed either to their province or often just to their own members, and that results in fragmentation. Oh, sorry, results in fragmentation. And then if you turn to like other search engines like Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, you often get results that are inaccurate. So organizations that aren't even co-ops or in Canada, or they're not offering specific services you're looking for. And also search engines tend to prioritize SEO optimization, right? So many of us rely on informal networks like relational channels. So this could be word of mouth, references from other organizations you trust, resource pages, but that's also often incomplete. And you're only finding who's already in your direct circle and not the broader movement. So the reality is there is no single place where you can reliably find co-ops that are active, offering services you need. So past directories have failed often because the information itself becomes irrelevant and static. But there's good news. Technology is advancing rapidly, right? So we now have a chance to design something better, right? And to serve our needs in the movement. So the idea of co-ops didn't come out of co-ops didn't come out of thin air. It came directly from the co-op movement. So last fall, I was facilitating a BCCA member value focus group for small and medium-sized co-ops, and they're reflecting on what they needed most from their association. And one theme came out really loud and clear. It was visibility and connection. People wanted to be able to find each other easily, and they wanted their membership dues to translate into something tangible and concrete, like market opportunities. Right, so that was the spark that eventually grew into Coops4Coops. We took the pain points of fragmentation and invisibility and asked, what if we built a tool for the movement that could make cooperative suppliers more visible, searchable, and trusted? Right? So right away, we decided that this would be for co-ops only, trying to double down on the value proposition of making visible co-ops that are active and can meet your needs. So only active co-ops offering B2B services with websites can be listed. And this is really to ensure the relevance of the search results and alignment with co-op principles. And then you're able to trust that what you're searching are actually co-ops, right? The second thing is data transparency. So unlike past directories that had gone stale or opaque, co-ops is designed to be dynamic. So every listed co-op and support organization gets reports showing their profile metrics and engagement data. Associations also, as support members, get a login to the backend to update and manage their members' information, which helps keep the tool alive and accountable. Additionally, what was really important to us is that the tool remains revenue agnostic. So the platform isn't designed to be monetized by ads. We're not selling pay to promote spots. And that was a deliberate choice because we didn't want the logic of the attention economy to creep in here. So Coops4Coops will always be prioritizing accessibility and fairness in our listings. Finally is also network focus. So this is infrastructure designed to leverage our unique cooperative identity for networks to be able to provide a tool that strengthens the movement as a whole. And in that way, we've created the tool to embed directly into other networks' websites. And when you embed the tool, the visibility goes up for both your members, but also all of the co-ops across Canada. So this is how it was born, is from listening to people in the movement, identifying gaps, and committing to build something that is principled, transparent, and cooperative first. So one of the, as I've mentioned, one of the main reasons we've heard through consultations with CMC and other co-op leaders across Canada that past co-op directories have failed is because they've become outdated too quickly. And if only one group is responsible for keeping the information current, it's not going to be sustainable, right? So Coops4Coops is designed differently. It's built as collectively managed infrastructure, meaning we are all of the participants are responsible for keeping it alive and accurate. So the listed co-ops themselves can update their own listings to ensure the information is accurate and written in their own voice. At this stage is also when the listed co-ops are asked for consent and they're given the ability to opt out. At this time, no co-op has opted out from being listed. We also have the support organizations. So these include associations and networks who host the tool as a support member, and they play a direct role in curating their member data to make sure it's relevant. So far, only one co-op has been removed by a support organization because they had heard from the co-op themselves that they were no longer functional and able to offer services. And that's exactly what we want to see is support organizations taking a role to make sure that the listings are reliable and accurate, right? And then finally, the steward role, which is in our case, the team at SEAS, which ensures the tool is maintained, standards are upheld, privacy policy, all of that kind of stuff, and the platform continues to serve the movement as a whole. So our idea being that distributing responsibility across these three players, so the listed co-ops, the support organizations, and ourselves as the stewards, Coops4Coops is designed to avoid the trap of becoming static and outdated, and instead becomes a living piece of infrastructure that's kept relevant by the people who also rely on it. So trust is the foundation of intercooperation. And if I'm choosing a co-op, or if I'm choosing a supplier, firstly, I want to know, are they really a co-op? Do they share a value? So the first layer of trust is structural, right? So only legally registered co-ops with active websites who are offering services to other co-ops can be listed. And this ensures that every entry is genuine and functioning, which is what we're calling the first layer of trust, right? So this is making sure that the results are reliable. A little story about Principle 6, which is meant to be one of our greatest strengths. But when it's practiced without clarity and accountability, it can backfire and erode trust within the movement. So a couple of years ago, I'd lined up the perfect P6 story. It's a co-op community bar, a co-op incubator ourselves, and a worker-owned construction company, so worker co-op, who all started working together to renovate a shared space. So unfortunately, the construction co-op went bankrupt. They were not a part of their provincial association and never communicated with us their position, and ultimately ended up invoicing the
Sorry, I was just checking to see if it was Olivia that was frozen or if it was on my end. So it seems Olivia's frozen. I'll just try to get her back. Apologies for that. Of course, when Stan isn't here, we have technical difficulties.
Yeah, Natalie, she left the meeting, so I think she'll rejoin.
Okay.
I'm
We're
keeping an
watching
eye
her.
on the waiting room to make sure that she doesn't get stuck there. Oh, here she is. She's coming in.
Oh, good. Apologies, everyone. Thanks for your patience.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there.
It's okay. You had us on a cliffhanger, so.
Do you mind making me a host so I can share screen?
I hope so. Maybe it's fun.
All right, I'm so sorry about that. Jumping right back in here. So the second layer of trust is intercooperation signals. So the idea being that the association membership badges makes their movement alignment visible. So they show that the co-op is not only functioning, but also invested in collective advocacy and standing with the co-op movement. So by embedding these badges directly into the directory, Coops4Coops makes movement solidarity visible and searchable. So this helps transform what used to be intangible, like, trust me, we're value aligned, we're a co-op, into something that's tangible and instantly recognizable. So these two layers together help close the trust gap, moving us from uncertainty to confidence when choosing a co-op partner. So where Coops4Coops really delivers on its promise of scaling intercooperation, instead of siloed and incomplete directories, we now have filters and views to help make co-ops easier to find, easier to trust, and easier to choose. So the first challenge was by geography, so the region. So historically, provincial silos have meant co-ops in one region are rarely able to connect with those in another. So now you can search both in your region or across Canada, and the listed co-ops can see exactly how much attention their service offerings are getting from across Canada. So it helps transform visibility into something that's measurable and actionable. So the second challenge was trust, right? So how do we know if a co-op is value aligned and actively engaged in the movement? So the association filter is designed to solve that. So when a co-op is a part of a federation or association, their badges appear on their profile. And when support organizations have the Coops4Coops tool hosted on their website, it also prioritizes their own members in the search results. So this means association dues translate directly into increased visibility and procurement opportunities. So trying to make membership value more tangible. And the third challenge was relevance, right? So past directories went stale and failed to show, I guess, the diversity of the co-op movement, either from regional silos or member silos. So we have 12 service categories and 45 different service types, from HR, IT to construction. So the Canadian cooperative economy as a whole isn't fragmented. It's interconnected nationally through the directory, specifically built for the B2B use case. So yeah, let's move along here. So here's an example of how this works in practice. So the Canadian Worker Co-op Federation didn't need a custom build. You can see at canadianworker.coop/co-ops4coops, so you can see it there. And so it didn't take custom build or months to work on the IT. It was simply copy paste of the iframe of the tool onto their website. So that one step instantly gave their members a searchable co-op only procurement directory with CWC members, as you can see here, prioritized at the top, which adds to tangibilize their membership value with almost no lift, right? So when someone searches on the directory and clicks on a profile, so here we have louder than 10, a worker co-op in BC. You can notice that under their profile, they're listed as members of two associations, BCCA and CWCF, and those badges show up automatically because it's how the tool is connected. So as a potential buyer, this tells me two things instantly. First, that they're a verified co-op that is offering the services that are listed, and that they're connected and accountable to the cooperative movement as a whole because of their affiliations with the second tier co-ops, the associations. So this makes me more likely to choose them as a supplier because I can trust that my dollars are going to be circulating within the cooperative economy and supporting associations and strengthening the co-op movement as a whole. So here's an example of the back-end view for the individual co-ops. So as a co-op, when you're first listed, you receive a login to the backend where you can update how your profile appears. And you can also see the individual co-op data as well. So like in community systems, they've appeared in 450 searches since we launched, and 37 have viewed their profile, and that is translated into 9 website visits and 1 email directly. At this point, we've seen the most sought after services being software development, board leadership training, graphic design, construction and architecture, brand and identity development, and strategic planning. So here we have all of the different co-ops. So there's about 160 that are listed right now. And some of them offer multiple types of services, right? So you can see we actually have a multiplier effect in how many co-ops are listed for each service category. Most present services are board training leadership, IT, co-op governance training, content storytelling, and transportation logistics. The least present being auditing and compliance, legal consulting, geothermal energy. I believe each of those have 1 co-op that is doing it, as well as inventory management and CRM systems and volunteer management. So we officially launched Coops4Coops in May 2025 at Co-op Congress. And since then, momentum is building quickly. So right now we have, as I said, 160 co-ops listed across the 12 service categories and 2 support organizations that are actively hosting the tool embedded on their website. And we also are speaking with other associations, and we'd love to speak with you. And so this means the network is expanding and the tool is embedding into already relational channels that people trust. So since we've launched, we've seen more than 250 page visits, which is about 300 unique visitors. And these aren't just casual browsers, they're people who are intentionally searching for co-ops with, as we've seen, over 1,000 specific filtered searches. And here's the exciting part, is 1 in 4 people who click on a co-op profile don't just stop there, they go further and they click through to that co-op's website or email. So that's about a 25% conversion rate, which in digital terms is very high. So in total, that's translated since starting in March to, or May, excuse me, to 450 website redirects to co-ops websites and inboxes, which is, real opportunities for B2B cooperation. So what this tells us is when co-ops are visible, they are also chosen, and there is a demand, and we just need to make infrastructure to build in that layer of trust and facilitate the connections. So my question for you all today, so a directory for finding cooperatives offering B2B services is now functional. How can we tackle the rest of the internet towards better inter-cooperation? Directories are a great first step. They help make co-ops visible, leveraging the unique co-op identity, but visibility alone doesn't guarantee intercooperation. So what features and signals or supports would make you more confident in finding a co-op, and not just, and in order to be able to choose them as a supplier or partner? So that'll be the question we'll break into shortly. And I'll just close by saying thank you to BCCA and CWCF for being our startup collaborators and support organizations, and as well for Malcolm as being our tech lead. And I believe that brings me back to you, Natalie.
Great. Before we jump into the breakout rooms with Olivia's question, which we will put in the chat so everyone has it, I just wanted to ask, I've been looking at, like, what you've created is incredible, and how fast it has happened is really impressive. Especially like, 25% click-through rate is, from my understanding, quite phenomenal. So I was wondering about places like our center that focus on Principle 5, but aren't co-ops. Is there a place for us? Like, we offer governance training and education, and places like St. Mary's, and or is it a decision to keep it to co-ops?
Yeah, I think this could be also a question we discussed today. But I think in general, how this tool becomes successful is by staying true to the value proposition, because as soon as search results start to become diluted, that's when the reliability of the tool decreases. So if you are a co-op, then you can be listed.
No, that's fair. Of course, I'd love to see us on there at some point, but yes, I do think that will help in maintaining the integrity, because co-ops, searching for co-ops, as everyone has probably learned, is you end up in co-op education that is like you are a student in a business for a while, instead of what we're talking about with co-ops. So I'm really delighted about this tool, and I hope it succeeds. Let's move right into the breakouts then. As we go in, this is an opportunity for you all to engage with Olivia's presentation and think about how you can use this tool and some of the potential. And just because I know people are joining us from across the sector and education, and so this is a great group of people. When you get into the group, which Dasha is going to break you all out into, Olivia will also be put in one. Just introduce yourself to everyone in the group. Just a short, like, where are you from? Where do you work? Or where do you study? And what brought you to this conversation today? Then we invite your group to spend a few minutes discussing Olivia's presentation and especially her question, which I believe Dasha will put in the chat, and we will repeat it probably to the waiting rooms because that sometimes happens. So again, just looking forward to hearing back on your conversations, and go ahead, Dasha. I hope you all had engaging conversations on Olivia. I'm sure people are gonna send you lots of ideas. If you could put your email in the chat, people might want to follow up with you directly, particularly on this topic. I think people had some really great ideas.
I would love that. You can reach me at Olivia at Solidarity Economy or at info@coops4coops.ca.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of ideas, lots of excitement. So we will be sending out a link to this talk in a couple of weeks. And later this week, or probably next week, we are going to launch our next co-op conversation. These happen on the first Wednesday of every month. The next one comes right after Dean Gagne, who's the Chief Disruption Officer at Innovation Federal Credit Union, which is based in Saskatchewan, is scheduled for October 1st, which is the day following observance of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation across Canada. And Dean is going to talk about Innovation's truth and reconciliation efforts, including their Indigenous connection strategy. So I'm very excited to see that. And details will be posted across our socials, and emails will be coming out. Also, I want to mention that we have teamed up with the Diefenbaker Canada Centre, which is a national museum located in our building, for a unique museum exhibition on cooperatives in honor of the International Year of the Cooperative. Community Powered, celebrating Canadian cooperatives, will be running here from September 17th to December 19th in the building that we share on campus. And later in October, early November, we're going to be launching an online version of the exhibit that will expand upon the content that people can physically see. We're also having an opening reception, an opportunity to network over drinks and appies while touring the exhibit and getting to know the curator and some of the people involved. And that will be on September 24th from 5 to 7. I have not sent out invitations yet, but it is open to all of you, and we would love for you to join us. If you have any questions, just email us at coop.studies@usask.ca. Thanks again to everyone for taking the time to attend today, and I hope everyone has lots of ideas for Olivia. I know we do, and I just want to thank you so much for sharing this and for the work you're doing for the cooperative sector. So thanks everyone, and have a great day.